It literally changed our lives. It literally made it so that we can live in peace and live present in our day-to-day life and have our cake and eat it too. This is part 4 of our 4-part series, the grand finale. You're in the right place if you're somebody that feels totally out of control with food. You find yourself doing this diet cycle of diet, end up falling off the diet, feel really shitty, binge, go back on a diet. If you're in that cycle, if you feel out of control with food, if it's taking up way too much of your brain space every day, you're in the right place. What we are talking about is how to get control with food without ever having to diet.
By the end of this video, you are going to be very, very familiar with the number one tool to get control of your eating. We are going to give it to you. We're going to explain it to you. There's no gatekeeping, but you're going to need to watch the full video to understand how to use it. And the best tool in the world is useless if the user doesn't know how to use it.
So who are we to be talking about this? I'm Hannah. This is Laura. We're sisters. I am a sociologist, which means I study group human behavior, and I specifically focus on food, our relationship with food. And Laura is a clinical nutritionist. So she really works with the nuts and bolts of food and nutrition and how to actually eat healthy. We also are 2 women that have recovered from eating disorders and, frankly, food addiction, both binge eating and restrictive eating, and found a way to escape all of that and live a life where food is not running the show. There's nothing that's off limits to us. And what we're going to talk about today is the tool that helped us get there. If you're using a diet to achieve this change, the diet is not teaching you life skills. The diet is giving you rules. You have no life skills to adapt when things get a little bit different than your normal routine. You have no life skills to figure out, what do I do when I'm not just on the diet? And you have no life skills of like how to make incremental changes that actually work instead of being like, I'm just going to totally change everything, do it all different. The ultimate solution comes down to getting really, really clear on your habits, your patterns, your triggers, what's setting you up for a good day, all of that good stuff. Because when you don't have that clarity, that's when you're like, well, I just need to change everything.
Yes, tracking. Tracking is the tool. And when we say tracking, what we mean is food journaling.
Da-da-da!
Da-da-da! The big reveal, it's food journaling. And this is facetiously simple. I promise there's a lot more to it. Don't just be like, oh, these bitches. What clickbait? It's very intricate, and it's very important that you understand what we mean by food journaling, what we don't mean by food journaling, and how to use food journaling. Mm-hmm. So when we say food journaling, we do not mean tracking nutrition, calories, carbs, count your macros, all that stuff. We do not mean food logging. Just a running list of what you ate in an old phone note collecting dust in a graveyard of other notes.
Yeah, never helped anybody.
Never helped anybody. And we really don't mean any food journal you've ever kept before. We at Sugar Sober, it's Hannah and I, surprise. Hannah and I designed a food journal specifically for food addicts. It is compiled from all of the research in behavior science, how to change your behaviors with food. And it is compiled from our own experiences and working with clients. So we have this for you. And I promise you, it does not look like any other food journal you've ever used. This is the tool. Tracking. So you have data on yourself. What is uniquely you and your patterns? Because you do not know what is the solution if you don't know what the problem is, if you don't know what the pattern is, if you don't know what the undercurrent is.
At the end of this video, we're going to give you the exact template, the layout of this food journal. We're going to show it to you. You can have it. But first, we want to really talk about exactly how food journaling addresses those really common pitfalls.
So the first pitfall we reviewed, and you now know how to survey your life, see where this is happening, is you want to make a 180-degree transformation, and you want to do it all at once, starting Monday. It's Newton's Law of Mondays. So what's missing there is process from where you are all the way to point Z of where you want to be. That's a complete gray zone. You're just trying to be like, I'm gonna be Z. I'm gonna be Z on Monday. Maybe, probably not. We need a process to get there. Food journaling provides that process, and a process that is unique to you. Hannah's process to get to her definition of Z is going to be different from my process of getting to my Z, because we are two different people. We eat differently. We have different likes. We have different triggers. We have different schedules. We have different hunger cues. Everything's different about us. So my process shouldn't look like her process, and her process shouldn't look like my process. So how are we both going to go shopping for the same diet program on the same influencer's website?
Yes.
This is why the food journal is the tool. Because when we use the food journal, we are getting pages and pages. Specifically, we recommend starting with a 90-day food journal. So this is a cemented habit for you. 90 days is a sweet spot for habit formation. But if you have 90 days of data to then glean what are your patterns, where are you running into walls? Where do you stop short? Where do you get triggered? Where do things go well for you? Where do you do your best? When you have that, then the process unveils itself to you. Then you know what is priority change number one. What's the most common thing that you keep coming up against? What's the strongest trigger you have? Even if it's not the most common, but it's guaranteed it's going to knock you on your ass. What are the environments, the situations, the people? This is why you need a food journal, because you do not know that. You might know, like I knew all along, couldn't handle birthday cake. Birthday cake's a big trigger. But that's not enough to make me the person who lives peacefully and joyfully with food anywhere I go, just knowing I can't handle birthday cake.
Right. Because the solution is not never go to a birthday party again. The solution is, okay, how do I set myself up incrementally so that I can go and not like completely lose it and go buck wild and stop by the grocery store and get my own personal birthday cake? Like, how can I find a way to not cut myself off from these life experiences, right? Eat the cake. Live in life with the cake. You can actually coexist in peace with the cake.
With birthday cake. And food journals can give you all of this. You just have to know how to use them correctly. And we teach that. We teach how to use, hold on. We teach how this can do everything we just said. It doesn't have to just sit on your table and you're like, Laura and Hannah said it would change my life. It's not gonna if you don't know how to use it. It's just an innate object. But we teach you how this can provide not just the data, but also the solutions. It's all in here. We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that.
That was reason number one. You're trying to create this 180-degree change. The second reason that we talked about in the second video is that life is always going to throw you curveballs. You're always going to have something that comes up that changes what is your typical day-to-day schedule. You're going to have to travel. You're going to have a really busy work day. You're going to have a late night. You're going to have an early morning. You're going to have
some... going to be puking.
Yeah, you're going to have a sick kid. You don't have time to go meal prep. So when life is throwing you these curveballs, because it's going to happen, that is life. So if you are tracking the way that you are eating, what your habits are, your triggers, all that good stuff we've been talking about, you know how to deal with those curveballs, with those challenges in life before they even happen. So, okay, I know airports are the first thing that's going to throw me off when I'm going on my vacation. Let's figure that out.
So if you know it kicks off at the airport, you don't need to panic about travel. That's big. You can go, I just need to focus on an airport solution.
Yes.
So that's much more manageable.
Right. Because if I'm not paying attention to that, like actively paying attention, when I show up at the airport, I don't really know what to do with myself. When you feel anxious, you're not fully thinking about those things. You're not processing your thoughts the same way. So this gives you something that you've already done the processing. You've already thought through it. So now when you're in that situation, you go, oh, this is how I handle these kinds of situations because I know this is the trigger for me.
So not only do you go in aware a curveball might be going down, you have the solution for the curveball and the solution is custom to you. Like it's a win-win-win. The third in the trilogy of the most common reasons diets fail was there is no done in any body or fitness goal. You never just arrive and you're like, whoo, glad I'm done with that part.
It's like, oh, thank God I finished the 6 weeks or I finished the whatever. Now what?
If you even made it to 6 weeks.
Like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, okay, you did it for a week and a half and you're like, this is miserable. I'm done. But now what? The diet doesn't teach you life skills. The diet's not going to teach you how to handle things after you're done with the diet.
Or even on the diet. That's why you couldn't handle the curveball.
Yeah.
So if the problem is there is no done and the solution is food journaling, guess what? You're going to just keep food journaling. It's a habit that you take with you forever. So I love this aspect. It's like this little very meta example or like a micro case study in how there is no done. You're not going to track your food for 30 days and then never have to do it again.
I would say we're both feel very healthy. We have really good relationship with food. We've recovered from our own food addictions. But there's been times when it's like things are getting really stressful. I'm really just so much going on. I'm kind of feel like I'm falling off a little bit. We've both done this, whip out the food journal again and just start tracking and start being like, oh, this is what's going on right now. And again, that reflective practice helps you recognize I'm good now.
Yeah, I'll show you right now. I've been doing it. Look, and I have it right here.
Beautiful.
And I know. And I've been food journaling recently because I found myself losing the structure of my meals. And so I was picking or grazing throughout the day and then being really uncertain. Am I overeating? And then snacking a lot on the couch while watching TV, which is not by definition bad, but eating a much larger volume and being like, I can't, is this compulsive? This feels compulsive. It feels like I'm eating even though I'm full. Yes, I knew I was just not on solid ground. So I started tracking, and I have already found by tracking all of the prompts that are in here, time of day, situation, what my thoughts are, is that I was grabbing things during my workday hours, like late mid-afternoon. But my thought was, I should really stop. I should really stop. I'm really probably overeating. So if that's the situation, by the evening, what I wanted was just to be comforted by food. Because all day, the relationship with food had been contentious. So my hunger cues were certainly off. There's some physiological stuff, but the emotional relationship was like, does he like me? Does he not like me with my food? And so at the end of the day, I was just looking for emotional coddling. So now I know I don't need to start a 30-day shred program. I just needed to figure that out. Because after that 30-day shred program, none of this would have been figured out. And I would have been wrecked. I'd be wrecked. My relationship with food would be more contentious. And I haven't figured out the actual mechanism that was at the root of my behavior in the first place. So even when you have been doing this for years and you have a great relationship with food and you can have birthday cake, stop and chill out, there's still going to be some times where you reach for the food journal to keep perfecting and recalibrating and dialing in. That's why this is the tool. This is it. This is the entry point.
Diets tell us that who we are is not okay. Diets tell us that it's a problem with who we are. And this approach is really the opposite of that. This approach is saying like, you're good. It's not you that's the problem. Like you have these things you want to work on. So let's figure it out with you and let's make it work for you. It's not saying like, you're this bad person. Here's your list of rules. You're in control.
You're the solution.
Yeah, exactly.
You're the only one who can be the solution. If the entire foundational philosophy behind the diet or the program is you're the problem, you're the flaw, you can't be trusted, your cravings are going to steer you wrong, you're never going to win a battle against yourself. Who's going to come in with the solution? The solution has to come from you. You're the only one who can make it.
I mean, that's where all those just do what I do, just eat what I eat kind of influencers come from. Like maybe some of them are lying. I think they are. But maybe some of them are actually telling the truth. Like, this is the solution that changed my life. That's great. I'm very happy for you, but you are a different person. You live a different life. You have different preferences. Just copying what somebody else is doing is never going to find you peace with food. You have to do the work to figure out what's going to work for you as an individual.
We'll show you exactly what the tool is. Kind of like if you're at a show house and it's like, this is the saw, but you're going to need to learn how to use it.
So let's get into it.
Show me the goods.
Yeah, let's show them the goods. So let's actually talk about what's in this food journal, right? We've been talking a lot about like how useful it is and how you use it, but what does it actually look like? It's a sheet and you're writing down time and date, of course, what you are eating. You're going to check off, is it compulsive or not? In the beginning of the food journal, you define what compulsive is because it is an experience. Like Laura's example with eating snacks on the couch. There's no problem with eating snacks on the couch in the evening while you're watching Netflix. If you are feeling like you're out of control and it's not a pleasant experience, that's the problem. It's all about what it feels like. So you define that for yourself. And then what's going on? What's the situation you're in? Are you on your work break? Are you visiting your mom's house? And then what are your thoughts, feelings, your emotions? What's coming up for you? That really is ultimately one of the most important parts. Tracking all of it Is it compulsive? What's going on around me? How am I feeling inside? And where are you?
Every one of these data points you track is a factor that influences behavior. We know this because we went in and read all those damn research papers. Like, this is where the behavior science comes in. All of these factors influence behavior. None of the other food journals track all of these factors. That's why this is the one for food addicts. It can start to feel like, whoa, that's too much to have to track and write down every time I have just one peanut butter filled pretzel. We promise you it'll get to where this is incredibly fast. You can knock it out in mere seconds because you already know the prompts by heart.
It's also too much to be living your life for years, going through that feeling of like, I'm out of control. This is uncomfortable. I don't know what to do. Yeah, you're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to sit down and write down what's going on. But in the long run, it's an amazing reward because you actually can enjoy and have peace with food in a world where you still can have cake.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you think about like, oh, that's a lot, is it?
That is such an incredibly fair economic trade. If you're just thinking of the economy of time, that's a no-brainer to get your freaking life back.
Yeah, I guarantee you, if you actually stick to this practice for 3 months, you will be in such a better place. It will be so much easier. You will feel so much better. You will have so much more mental space. There is a return on this investment of your time.
So you will see below this video, you can download right now a PDF version of the food journaling sheet. It's yours to have. You could print it out 1,000 times and keep using it. We want you to have this. The tool is available. But like we've said a bazillion times, it's just going to sit on your bedside table and collect dust if you don't know how to use it. So that is why we made a course that teaches you exactly how to use food journaling to get control of your eating for good. The course is called Chaos to Control: Break the Overeating Cycle in a Weekend. It is only 3 videos long. Each video is less than, I believe it's like 16 minutes. I think the longest one is 16 minutes. And they're structured this way. So you can watch one on Friday, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. And by the magical Newton's Law of Mondays, you're on a whole new path. You could binge them all at once, back to back. You could intentionally put a week of time between, 100% self-paced. But it is structured so that each of these lessons builds on one another so that by the end, you know how to food journal, take that data in the food journal and turn it into actual information, and then apply that information so that your behavior changes. That's the magic around how to use the tool. That's something that has to be taught. You have to learn how to use this tool, and that's okay.
In the course, you're not just learning how to use it, but you're also learning behavioral science of how to create the habit of using the food journal. Because all of us have bought some fitness thing, some workout band, some new smoothie shaker, whatever.
There's so many apps on my phone. So many apps.
Yeah. Right. That we just don't actually use. It's like the intention is there, but you don't actually do it. And so in the course, we also break down the behavior science of how to create a new habit, such as food journaling, and make it stick. And that's one of the most important things, right? You can have all the intention in the world, you can buy the gadgets, you can do whatever, but if you don't know the behavior science around how to create the habit of doing something new, you're going to have that pile of fitness paraphernalia staring at you in the corner.
So I think it's pretty obvious, but I want to make sure we say this specifically. Completing the course requires doing some work. You're going to watch the videos and you're going to put pen to paper and you're going to do some things. And you need to do those things on a daily basis. They're short. They're incredibly manageable. The daily exercise is 60 seconds. Like, you do have time, but the question is, do you want to do it? Is now the time? Are you going to do it? And that's something only you can answer. If you have questions for us about what this course looks like and is this the solution for you, then click on the link below this video so you can check out the page that really goes into very vivid detail about exactly how the course is laid out and what you can expect. And if you still have questions, whether really micro details or kind of like bigger philosophical questions about your eating and does this fit, just shoot us an email. hello@sugarsober.com. This is what we do. Like, we are here spending time making these things because we're obsessed with it. We're passionate about it. We needed this course so badly 15 years ago when we were in the food. If we had found this course and someone had showed it to us in a way that helped us see how doing the work would render the result, it would have changed our lives. We would have reclaimed those 15 years.
I mean, it did change our lives. That's why we're doing this now, like that's why we created this.
Yeah. I can trust myself around any food in any social situation. I do not have to plan around it. I do not have to start negotiating with myself and making top secret plans 3 to 4 weeks before a vacation or a trip. That entire aspect of my life, which was easily 75% of my brain space, is resolved. And the entry point, the first step on that path was food journaling, and food journaling this way. It's so interesting editing these videos. Your pattern is to slow down, and mine is to start saying words and like pile metaphors on top of them. And yours is like, you go, it's like, and you just like wait until you have it, which is better for editing. It's way better, but it's funny how we do opposite things.